of Sahi Pro team, I thank you all for joining in. I'm Pratik Shah from the customer success team of Sahi Pro. Welcome you all. As I come from the customer facing role, I keep hearing about the challenges and the issues encountered by the industry. Today, we are going to talk about one such issue, that is challenges faced in end-to-end automation and how Sahi Pro overcomes those challenges. Before we get into the talk, first let us understand what is the end-to-end test automation. End-to-end automation is nothing but simulating the user behavior from start to end, including different platforms. Now we know a little bit about end-to-end automation. Let's see why it is important. We don't need to really talk about why automation is needed. You are expert in the industry and you know how important that automation is. But there are primary reasons why end-to-end automation has its importance. Let's see a few of them. Seamless user experience. Real user journey often cross platforms. Automation ensures these transitions work smoothly. Cross-platform technology integration. Different platforms may be built differently. End-to-end automation validates data flow and interaction between them. Consistency across the platform. Business rules, validations, and the workflow must behave the same way everywhere. Automation ensures uniform functionality and avoids platform-specific inconsistencies. Early detection of the integration issues. Bugs often arise at the boundaries between the systems. End-to-end automation catches these earlier, reducing production risks. Reduce maintenance efforts. A unified automation strategy avoids separate silos of tests for each platforms, makes test automation more scalable and cost-effective. These are the few of the aspects why end-to-end automation is needed. Let us see what are the challenges associated with this. Every automation effort comes with its own challenges, and end-to-end test automation is no exception. There are some of the obstacles that you may come across in your end-to-end automation journey. Few of them are here. Tool compatibility. Not all the tools are compatible to automate multiple platforms. Most frameworks specialize in either web, desktop, or mobile applications. Synchronization across technologies. Managing weights between the multiple platform is tricky. Example, submitting browser triggers a desktop application, and next step have to be performed on the desktop application. There is a risk of flakiness due to these timing issues. Element identification and stability. Believe me, robust identification has always a challenge, be it web application or dealing with multiple platforms. It becomes even more challenging when you are having multiple platforms. Reports and debugging. Failures are harder to trace when they span across multiple platforms. There is a lack of unified reports for multiple platforms. Limited cross-platform support. There aren't many tools which support cross-platform testing. Now that we have explored what end-to-end test automation is and challenges it brings, let's move on to the solution part and let's see how Sahi Pro deals with them one by one. One tool, multi-platform. Sahi Pro can automate different type of applications, be it desktop application, browser application, or a mobile application. Is in a unified scripting, reducing challenges of synchronizations. Sahi Pro natively supports all the technologies. Data and state sharing. Sahi Pro uses a single flow and single script which helps in sharing the data flawlessly. Robust UI element identifications. The inbuilt object spy and the recorder provides intuitive, robust element identification for all the platform natively. Unified reporting and the logging. Test execution across technologies generate the consolidated logs and the reports, making it easy to review failures holistically. Flowchart-based no-code automation. Sahi Pro support building end-to-end flows via visual flowcharts, enabling you to design complex scenario in a more maintainable and no-code manner. This makes it perfect for all the users. Here is a snapshot of what we have discussed so far. Challenges are on the left, solution on the right. Synchronization across the platform, element identification and the flakiness, script orchestration, and the report. These are the common challenges that you will come across when you do end-to-end test automation. And when you use the tool like Sahi Pro, it becomes so easy. One tool for multiple platform, robust object spy, visual flowcharts, and the reports. With the concept and the solution in place, the next step is to see how Sahi Pro delivers the real impact in actual automation scenario. Here are the few scenarios where Sahi Pro was instrumental in end-to-end test automation. If you have worked on test center application, you would know how difficult it can get when you want to automate the entire end-to-end flow. Here we have taken one example of a item creation. So you have to log into the test center, create an item design, add the data set to this, and send the approval. This entire journey will take you the web automation, desktop automation, Java automation, and SAP automation. And this has been successfully done at various organizations. Innovia, change order creation. Innovia is one of the widely used PLM softwares, comes with the CAD applications like CATIA and all. So to provide the end-to-end support for a change order creation, you have certain steps to be followed. Creation of the part, creation of the change order, workflow, and promoting the part and CO release. To complete the entire process, you would need web, desktop, and SAP. There are some B2B supply chains wherein you would need to create some products and discounts and add some dealers and all. And in that, you would need web, mobile, and Java. Similarly, there are various other use cases where Sahi Pro has proven instrumental in simplifying end-to-end test automation. Now let's come back to, let's see how Sahi Pro is able to do all of these. In this example, what we are going to show you is a simple user registration scenario wherein the user has to go to a website, register the user, verify the user, and log out. The same thing, what we are going to do is we are going to add some more complexity to it and call an API and fetch the data from the API and use it inside the register user. So these are the two scenarios we are going to automate. First is to on a web application to register the user, and then we are going to call an API and get the user details and feed it into web application. So this is how the browser would look like. So this is you have to create the flowchart of whatever the scenarios we have spoken. So first I'm going to click on the flowchart and provide the name as user registration. As I mentioned in my talk earlier, what we have to do is we have to add some user details for the user registration scenario. So first I'm going to say label user registration, and as the first step we have to do, go to register page. After going to the registration page, we have to register the user, and once user is registered we have to add an outcome saying that we want to verify user registered, and eventually we have to log out. So this is the advantage of flowchart, wherein it visually you can visually design your flow use cases in terms of flowchart and can figure out what type of tests you are going to automate. As I mentioned, Sahi Pro can talk to different applications, so we may want to attach this particular flowchart to an application. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to register the user for a web application. So in the launcher settings, I will go to browser, select the browser, and provide the end-to-end the application under test URL. And this is one-time process, and click on automate. This brings up the automate dialog box, wherein you can start implementing your keywords, which is go to register page, register user, and so on. So I'll click on start recording. As a business user, you would know what are the steps you have to perform in order to perform the registration. The first thing what we want to do is go to register page. So I'm going to click on links, which takes me to the register page. So I'm going to save this keyword and move to the next keyword, which is register user. Now we have to perform the steps to register our user. Let me register. While I'm registering, you may notice that Sahi Pro is capturing all the details of the action performed, and these are the elements without any XPath or CSS selectors. So you may this will not break so easily. So let me go to the verify user register, and now we will add some assertions. So I'll tap, click on inspect element, and maybe I can, whenever I do control hover on any of the element, it will identify the element and it will allow me to add some assertions to it. And once assertions are added, I'm going to perform the next keyword, which is logout, and log out from the application. So here we have automated the entire journey of a user registration. So I'm closing the browser, and let me bring your focus to the register user. Now in the register user, you would see that all the details are part of the keyword itself, and we may want to reuse them, or we may want to rerun the test. And if we rerun the same test, it may not work because we have already consumed this information. So Sahi Pro provide you a very ways by which you can easily extract some data from the test case that you have implemented and make it repeatable by providing some data generators to it. So let me quickly extract this data and add some. I'm going to add some data generators to my email address, as email was causing some problems. So I'm going to add it, the timestamp. Similarly, you can have different type of data generators for name, address, email address, numbers, boolean, etc. Save the entity. Now let me run this. So what it will do is it will open up the browser and perform the actions that we have recorded. And instead of email address, it will have some uniqueness in the email address so that it can pass correctly. Now, assuming that we have to get the information from an API instead of a normal hard-coded or the user-generated test data, we want to fetch it from an API call. So what we will do is we'll automate and add an API call here. So in here you can see that there are various options are available for an API call. You can do get, post, put, delete, etc. And we also provide the authorization like basic auth, OAuth 1.0 and all. So the first thing what we want to do is we want to call an API. So I want to do a get request of this, and parameters I want to pass in as HTTP headers as API key and the value of the key. So when I do that, and when I say get response, it gives me a JSON response, which may not be easily understandable by the end user or the manual or business user. So we have a provision wherein you can transport into the tree and select the things which you needed for your end-to-end test. So let me add some assertions. So I want to assert that this API call returns a 200 OK response. So I'll add some assertions, and I want to add some names and the email address for my registration. So I'm going to select these things and click on store. I'll provide some valid names to my variables so that I can use it at later point in time. So this is my email. This is my first name, and this is the last name. Okay, update. And now when we want to reuse all this information, we want to reuse as a part of this particular keyword. So I'm going to say this is my first name, and I'll just use the email address. Last name, that's fine, email. Okay, see the keyword and run. So this time you would notice that instead of using Steve Smith as my email first name and the email address, it will choose the email addresses from the API call. So you can see that Emma Wong was picked up from the API call and it has been registered. In the report also, you would see the same. So whenever you run any of the tests, the report would look something like this, wherein the first name will show Emma and the last name will be Emma Wong. And whenever we had an API call, it returns a 200 OK response. So this is how easily you can integrate between a web application and API call. Now look at the example wherein we want to do a end-to-end test automation for web, desktop, and mobile. So we have this invoice demo, and in that we have an end-to-end process wherein the user has to complete the end-to-end process wherein mobile, desktop, and web application is needed. So the first step is creating the client on a web application. So you have to log into the web application, create a client on a interface, and then move your application to a mobile application to add some product. So the mobile adding the products on mobile is fairly easy. So you basically add the products on the mobile application, and then you create an invoice on a desktop application and verify the invoice on the desktop application and move back the focus to the browser application and check the invoice that you have paid on the desktop application is visible on the web or not, and then you do a cleaning up work. So let's see how Sahi Pro is dealing with this type of application and how it is changing the focus from web to mobile to desktop. So the first thing is we are on a web part, so there are nothing to be done over here. But when you go from web to any different technology, you have a set mode available. So whenever you say set mode Android or set mode Windows, it will change from one application to other, and then you have to add some more actions to it. So after setting the mode to Android, you need to know which Android mobile you want to basically connect to. So you have to provide a device ID and all, and then once the device ID is given, which package you want to automate. So you have to provide the package name, etc. And rest of the stuff are on a creation of the product on the mobile front. Now, once the creation of the product is done on the mobile application, we have to shift focus from mobile to desktop application. So we have a set mode Windows, and then select the window application, which is Invoice Ninja, and later on all the steps are to be performed on the desktop application. So once everything is done, verification of the invoice is done, again we want to switch back from desktop application to let's say web application. So you say set mode browser and select the browser and so on and so forth. So like this, using the set modes and using the selecting the proper windows and the other things, you can easily shift between the browser, desktop, and mobile application. So let me play the video of this particular flowchart. So the first thing will happen on a web application, logging into the web application with certain credentials and adding some clients. So focus on the client name because the client name will be used on a desktop application as well. So that shows the seamless data sharing of Sahi Pro flowcharts. Now we have used a Wiser application to mirror our mobile device. So right now, whatever you see on the right hand side of your screen is a Wiser application mirroring the mobile device. And whatever actions after creating the client, we will perform the creation of the product on the mobile application. So now the mobile application gets launched. It goes to the products page and it adds some products. So keep an eye on the product that is being added, which is Apple iPhone 17 Pro and the Steve RSYS. Now the focus has changed to mobile application to a desktop application. It has launched a desktop application. And now in here, when it searches for the client and when it searches for the creation of the invoice comes, it will choose the client which you have created on a web application. And while adding the product, it will use the product which was created on a Apple device. And again, the browser will it will go to the browser application and perform the actions. Now let us see the reports. The report of the end-to-end test would look something like this, wherein we have created the client on a browser application. We have taken the screenshot. Creation of the product happen on mobile device, and we have taken the screenshot of the mobile device, and we have created the invoice on desktop application, and we have taken the screenshot. So similarly, you can automate any type of application, be it web, desktop, or a mobile device. Now, Sahi Pro flowchart is not just creating some flowcharts like this. It can do a lot of other things as well. So let's give an example of the invoice application itself. Now, suppose you have a test case wherein invoice can be created in a 5 or 7 different manner. Okay. From here, you can figure out that, okay, the invoice creation is happening from visually, you can see, okay, there are 3 types of invoice we have created, but the test case we had was 7. So from visually, you can figure out, okay, how many test cases we have covered and what are pending. We also provide a table view wherein you can figure out, okay, where the flow is going. So when you say invoice, it goes from top to bottom. Invoice from create quote, so it will go follow this process, and when you say invoice create from client screen, it will follow this. So this way you can figure out, okay, we have covered 3 type of invoicing, but there are some other test cases are also available. You can also create some dependency tags and everything here. So this was all about the demo of Sahi Pro. Let's move back to our presentation. To conclude, Sahi Pro supports end-to-end automation across web, desktop, mobile, APIs, and modern frameworks, ensuring seamless multi-technology application testing with minimal maintenance. These are the wide ranges of the technology stack that Sahi Pro provides support with. Over the years, Sahi Pro has earned the trust of numerous companies worldwide. It's proven the reliability and the ease of use make it preferred choice of the automation.